Hello, Pekan. Thank you so much for joining me today from Michigan. It's always great to catch up with you. Let me formally introduce my guest today, Ken Mathis Lohatepanont. He is an alumnus of UC Berkeley, where he completed his bachelor's in political science in 2020. He is now pursuing a PhD in political science at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, with a particular focus on the political landscape of Southeast Asia, especially Thailand. Pickens' political commentary writing pieces has been featured in many major publications such as The Washington Post, Bangkok Post, and Thai Enquirer, and his work really highlights his depth of understanding in these areas. Thank you again, Ken, for being here. You're someone I truly admire for your passion for this field, and I cannot wait to chat with you about today's topic. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Thank you so much for having me.
Today, we're going to talk about a topic that's important to many students and graduates, navigating the career path with a degree in social sciences, especially when the path might not seem as clear-cut, particularly in Thailand. So let's dive into your thoughts on that. So begin, question one. Starting off, many students who pursue degrees in fields like political science, sociology, or psychology might find themselves uncertain about their career path, especially in places like Thailand, where the opportunities might not seem immediately clear. How do you view the flexibility of a social science degree in terms of career options?
I would encourage you to think in terms of transferable skills, right? I think that what many people don't realize is that the social science fields like political science and economics have become increasingly quantitative. Uh, I'm not I'm not a great quant scholar myself, but I remember that in my first year of the PhD, almost all the classes I was taking were quantitative. I was taking calculus, I was taking statistics, and I know that even at the undergraduate level here at Michigan, for example, there is the opportunity for undergrads to pursue pursue data-related opportunities, even within the political science major. I know that we have a course, for example, called something like Data Science and International Relations. So I think that increasingly, even in social science fields, you will gain these skills that will sell you well on the job market. And I would also say that just, outside of these hard skills, you're also being equipped with a lot of good soft skills. You're being equipped to think critically about the world and society. And, in this age of I think that you're going to be truly distinguished, not just by your technical skills, but also by your ability to cultivate expertise and excel in the human side of things, right? And I think that's what the social sciences are giving you.
Yeah, absolutely, Pekan. Really agree on that. Same thing with psychology. I think looking back at my undergrad years, the required course for the psych major was Psych 101, and that was a purely quant course. It was using R to code and looking at data in the social science field. So yeah, even though students are pursuing the social sciences, you're still getting a lot of quant skills from that. And also wanted to echo the human side of things and in your understanding of that. I think it's very important. Speaking from someone who has a psychology degree, but I work in financial tech, a lot of technology companies, including the finance industry, of course, they're good at the tech side, but they also value the human side of it, right? Like we have lots of banks who have taglines like, oh, bank, like digital banking with a human touch, or like humanizing banking, right? Yeah, so I really want to echo how important have understanding the human side of things is in today's industries. So great, thank you. For the second question, from your experience, what are some common misconceptions that people might have about career prospects for social science graduates? Do you face any challenges when considering what your future career might look like?
So upfront, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to overstate my claims, right? I think that in the end, you can't say that social sciences will open up every field for you in the way that a traditional STEM degree might. But we are different, right? Not everybody is built for a STEM major. And perhaps I can alleviate your worries by saying that, for example, with a political science degree, there are still many things you can do with this degree. In political science, I have many friends who went into consulting, who went into public policy, who went into journalism or the media, who went into, who pursued further study at a law school in the United States, or perhaps went into academia like I did. And there's still a particular challenge in Thailand compared to the US. I think that employers are still not they're still a little bit confused, I would say, when they see people with a political science degree applying for, say, a non-poli sci job, and they're like, why aren't you trying to become a politician? You don't always have to become what you study. So, but I do think that as long as you're able to demonstrate, you know, useful skills and communicate that in a job application, I think that goes a long way regardless of what major you studied.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Like, I feel like in today's job market, what you studied in school is one thing, but they focus a lot more on your skills, right? Like, what can you contribute to this organization, to this company? Um, yeah, and I feel like many companies and many teams and jobs, they value diversity in perspective. Because, for example, in let's say in a tech company, you have all these tech guys, like the AI engineers, the full stack developers, and all that. They're good at what they do, but sometimes they don't see other perspectives as well. For example, like, you developed a product, right? You're good at coding, but how do people react to your product, right? So understanding human behavior, that really comes with a social science education. So
Yeah.
yeah, for that insight. And for the third question, we often hear that STEM degrees leading to more defined career path, but social science degrees offer a different kind of flexibility. How do you personally navigate the uncertainty and identify the opportunities available to you as a political science graduate?
So personally, I was a bit lucky that I managed to land a job pretty quickly after I graduated. I worked at the Thailand Development Research Institute for about a year and a half after I finished my undergraduate degree. So for those who are unfamiliar with TDRI, it's a public policy think tank. So not directly tied to political science, but I was able to use a lot of the skills and the area expertise I had developed by studying political science in this role as a researcher in public policy. So I worked on innovation policy, I worked on policy recommendations on how to restructure Thailand's economy to get Thailand out of the middle income trap. And as part of this role, I was doing a lot of literature reviews. I was analyzing the literature on, on innovation broadly, and also on how other countries, especially in East Asia, were able to pursue good policies. And so I think that I was able to draw on my regional understanding. I was able to draw on the critical thinking skills and the writing and reading skills that came with political science in order to do my job. And I was grateful for the skills that I was equipped with my poli sci degree.
Yeah. And like for me as your Lunong, I really enjoyed seeing you transition into different phases of your life. Like, oh, when you were at Berkeley, I now you're at UMich. Um, love asking you political questions, just to, get at your thoughts and get into your brain a little bit. Yeah. So thank you so much for that insight. For the fourth question, in Thailand, many students and even parents may not fully understand how a degree in social sciences can translate to a meaningful and fulfilling career. What advice would you give to students who are passionate about social sciences but are unsure how to explain its value to others or map out their career path?
So I think that we should be honest here, right? A degree in the social sciences, and especially in Thailand, it's not a risk-free proposition. And, you know, people often say, oh, follow your passion. But in a tight job market, that's not necessarily always sound advice. Because following your passion, it sounds good on paper, but it can lead you into dead ends. And you only have to go on Reddit to see so many people who say they regret following this advice, for example. But in the end, I would argue that every career choice is a calculated move. It's, sorry, not a calculated move, it's a calculated risk. It's up to you to determine whether or not the social sciences is something you want to take a calculated risk on. Is this something that you truly enjoyed in high school? Do you have a keen interest in it? Are you truly better at it than, a more quote unquote conventional field? In the end, we're all built differently, right? And I think that if in the end you felt like the social sciences were what you excelled at in high school and you feel confident that you're willing to consider a range of career options, it's not just like one job or bust, then I don't think it's too difficult to explain your choice. You're choosing a route that will allow you to acquire marketable skills. It will allow you to acquire expertise in something you're passionate about, and it will allow you, as I said previously, to build a unique selling point in something that perhaps many others in Thailand might not necessarily have, a social science degree from a foreign university. So in the end, again, calculated risk, and it's up to you to explain it, but I think there are ways of explaining why this was a rational choice for you.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing I wanted to touch on is, pulling from our conversations from before. With a social science degree in Thailand, you might find yourself pretzeling to fit different roles, especially let's say in a tight, job market.
Yeah.
There might not be a role that will literally require the requirement that says you need a social science degree or you need to be a political science graduate or a psychology graduate, right? Like I don't think I've ever seen that in like typical roles, right? So that's one of the struggles social science students or graduates struggle with. It's just like pretzeling and adapting, and it's very important on building your skills. And it's not just about what you learned in college, but also what you can apply your learnings to. So yeah. And for our last question, finally, what are some emerging opportunities in Southeast Asia or globally for social science graduates that you think students should be aware of, especially in fields like politics, public policy, or even beyond the traditional roles associated with a social science degree?
So, Kwan, I think you were a great case in point here, right? You study a social science degree, and now you're sort of in this world where tech and banking and business intersects. It's not a traditional role for someone from the social sciences. And so, yeah, you illustrate this point well. There is a broad range of things you can do with a social science degree. I know that I know people now who are in government relations and government consulting, people who are going into think tanks, right? There are more think tanks now emerging in Southeast Asia, people in banking like yourself, and of course people going to academia. They want to become be trained as a social scientist, and they want to answer these fundamental questions we have about society. And of course, people who go into politics, right? We need more people who are passionate and who want to change the world. It's not going to be easy, but I know that there are people who are interested in this avenue. So, yeah, if you're interested in a social science degree, think broadly.
That's really, really great advice. Yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much, Ken, for sharing your insights on navigating career paths in the social sciences. I think this will be incredibly helpful for students who are thinking about pursuing social science degrees. It's been so much fun. I wish you the best in Michigan, and I hope to see you sometime soon when you come back. But yeah, thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having me, Kwan.